started skating when I was 3 years old, and as far as I can remember, I always wanted to be on the ice and play the game.
He had a natural talent from the moment he put his skates on. He was 3, 4 when he put the skates on for the first time. He didn't even fall. He put on his skates, and that was it.
When I was pretty young, Pee Wee Bantam, I think that's when people realized that I had a special talent, you know, with all the numbers that I was putting up, scoring a lot of goals every game.
I was reading a local French language paper, and there was a little blurb where Scotty Bowman mentioned that he had heard about this incredible young hockey player called Mario Lemieux from Villemard. I went to see him play, and he didn't know I was there. After the game, I ran to the phone and I called my boss at the time, Gus Bedali, who represented Wayne Gretzky at that time, and I told Gus, I said, Gus, I said, I found the next Wayne. He says, Bob, if you ever tell me that again, you're fired. So I said, listen to me. I said, I think I found the next Wayne. I told him again.
When Mario turned 15, he joined the Laval Voisin of the elite Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Bob Perno arranged a meeting.
He says, if I break Guy Lafleur's records in scoring, he says, what kind of contract do you think you can get me? And I looked at him and I said, Mario, I promise you that if you break Guy Lafleur's records of 288 points in one season, and you do what I think you can do, you'll be a millionaire at 18 years old. Then in the spring, there was Guy Lafleur's record. Mario needed a total of 5 points to get that record of 288 points in a year.
By coincidence, the Edmonton Oilers were in Montreal that evening. Wayne Gretzky heard about Mario's run at the record and attended the game.
Mario blew the record out of the water. He had, I think it was 5 goals and 6 assists. And I brought Wayne down to the locker room so that Wayne could congratulate him. After that game, he stuck his head out of the dressing room and he pulled me over. He went like this. So I went over and I said, yeah? He says, remember that promise you made me?
The Pittsburgh Penguins were the worst team in the NHL in 1983, but there was a reward for their futility, the #1 pick in the upcoming draft, and first shot at Mario Lemieux.
Every team was trying to get him. Montreal came up with some great offers. Quebec offered me the Stastny brothers, which were big. Philadelphia offered me 3 or 4 players, and if we would have did that, this place here would have been a parking lot.
Bob Perno nearly held up his end of the bargain. The Penguins signed Mario to a contract worth more than $700,000.
I remember coming to training camp that year and just thinking, how good can this kid be? I was going to take a shot at this kid. I was going to line him up and I was going to put him right on his wallet. And I had him lined up at center ice, and he pulled a 360 move on me. And he was by me before I could even blink. And that's when I said right there, my goodness, this guy is unbelievable.
Cleared out to the blue line.
My first shift was in Boston. I went in on a breakaway against Pete Peters, deked him on the left side, and scored my first goal in my first shift, so that was a pretty good start for me.
Racing in all alone. Lemieux, his first shot on goal, and he scores! Mario Lemieux, living up quickly to all the advertisements.
In the summer of '87, Mario represented his country in the Canada Cup, a major international tournament. The experience would change his life.
Really a turnaround in my career to really have a chance to play with the best in the world.
In the deciding game, Mario and Gretzky teamed up to bring home the gold.
It was a big, big goal in his career, but also in the history of Canada.
To see him attain success at that level for our country, I mean, that was just beyond words. I can't even describe it.
I had a chance to play with Gretzky the last 2 games against the Russians and score both winning goals at the end was really a turnaround in my career. It gave me a lot of confidence to come back to Pittsburgh and do the same thing here.
By the late 80s, Mario Lemieux had turned the Pittsburgh Penguins from the league's worst team into a title contender.
You really don't need a game plan when you've got a guy like Mario Lemieux.
Lemieux himself was considered by many the greatest player in the sport. But after 1989, he would never be the same.
It was late '89 where I started to have some back pain.
It's a tough sport. You get hit all the time, and especially him being a target.
A little guy like that's just trying to make a name for himself by picking on the big guy, you know?
He was the best player in the game, and guys were targeting him every night.
Penalty, Lemieux is down.
Part of his problem, unfortunately for him, was what we call congenital, or in other words, he was born with it. So he had these stress fracture type fractures in his back and had this congenital narrowing of his back.
He'd actually have to grab his pant leg to lift his legs over the boards because he didn't have enough strength in his back and his hamstrings to get his legs over the board.
But 9 days later, with his streak at 46, Mario reached his limit.
The Rangers are almost explicitly ignoring Lemieux right now.
We were playing a game in Madison Square Garden, and the pain was just too much. He couldn't finish the game.
Mario Lemieux is done for the night, and that means that Mario Lemieux's streak is over.
The pain was too much. I had the pain running down my leg. And at that time, I just couldn't perform the way I wanted to and decided to have the surgery.
The surgery was going to deal with some of the problems with his discs, where if they could be removed, or at least parts could be removed, herniated disc type problem, then maybe some of his symptoms would be improved.
It did feel better for a while, and then that was a training camp. And then I had a staph infection that set in early in training camp.
He was in hospital and bed rest for a period of several weeks, and then was continuing on IV antibiotics through a special catheter line and incapacitated for several months.
I was in bed for 3 months. I couldn't move and didn't know if I was going to walk again, and I was on heavy medication for a long period of time.
Mario rejoined the Penguins in January, helping them to their first division title.
By 66.
It really fueled us as a team because not only did we want to win it for ourselves and win it for the organization, the city, we all wanted to pull together for Mario. That he had gone through so much that he deserved this.
Muscles again. Yeager, shot. They win.
The Penguins rallied to defeat New Jersey in 7 games in the opening round.
It's a pass to Stevens. He scores!
They cruised by Washington and took out Boston to win the Wales Conference Championship, with Mario scoring the empty net clincher in Game 6.
It was a great relief. I knew that when the puck went in that we were going to the finals.
He split the net right in the middle of it. And the Penguins are going to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in their history.
That was my ultimate goal when I grew up, to have a chance to play in the Stanley Cup Finals and have a chance to win the Cup.
The bombshell's been landed here. Mario Lemieux is not playing because of back spasms.
With Mario sidelined, the Pens fell behind Minnesota 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals.
The Penguins came out for Game 4 with fire in their eyes and Mario Lemieux back in their lineup.
Ignoring the pain, Mario returned for Game 4, scoring a goal and an assist to even the series.
Many times he was playing at 25 or 50% of what would be a 100% level of health. And, you know, he would come back and he would come back and he would come back, and you couldn't believe it.
2 games later, Mario and the Penguins demolished Minnesota to earn the franchise's first Stanley Cup.
The Stanley Cup has come to the city of Pittsburgh. The 1991 Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is an unbelievable story.
To finally raise that cup at center ice for the first time was a great feeling.
Go for it, Mario. Go for it.
We entered the locker room, and when he saw us, Natalie, my parents, he burst into tears. And then he handed me the cup, put it right in my hands. It was quite a moment.
We were the worst team in the league. We'd been bankrupt in the 70s. We were almost sold in the 80s. Mario had been, laid up all that time with a bad back, and the Penguins were the dregs of the National Hockey League. And now here we were at the top of the mountain. It was an incredible moment.
I'd like to thank the city of Pittsburgh and the fans that have been supporting us for the last 24 years. We love you guys, and this cup is for you. Thank you.
We were the worst team in the league. We'd been bankrupt in the 70s. We were almost sold in the 80s. Mario had been, laid up all that time with a bad back, and the Penguins were the dregs of the National Hockey League. And now here we were at the top of the mountain. It was an incredible moment.
I'd like to thank the city of Pittsburgh and the fans that have been supporting us for the last 24 years. We love you guys, and this cup is for you. Thank you.
In November, Johnson passed away. Scotty Bowman took over as head coach. The Penguins gelled late in the season and made the playoffs. Down 3-1 to Washington in the opening round, they rallied to take the series. But a slash by New York's Adam Graves nearly derailed their effort to repeat.
He swelled immediately, and so we basically knew he was fractured. Normally, if somebody broke their hand, you would expect the recovery to be somewhere around 6 weeks. There was no discussion that, well, that's it for the playoffs, I'm out. He came back and played with a plastic splint and a broken hand.
Mario returned for the conference finals.
He shoots and scores.
Helping the Pens sweep Boston.
Unbelievable. How do you do, Mario?
Pittsburgh won its final 11 games and back-to-back NHL championships.
Pittsburgh's a football town. We all know that, and we all understand that. But Mario brought an awareness, he brought an excitement to the game of hockey and to the Pittsburgh Penguins that was never, ever here in Pittsburgh.
Then came the diagnosis.
He said, I've had this lump in my neck, and I've had it for several months, even up to a year, and it seems to be getting bigger because now I seem to catch my razor on it when I'm shaving.
The lump was removed and sent out for testing. The results were devastating. Cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma. The therapy was successful. After 6 weeks, the cancer was destroyed.
The last day of my treatment here in Pittsburgh, I got on the plane in the morning and met the team in the afternoon in Philadelphia and played that night.
For somebody to be not on skates for weeks, going through the trauma of being diagnosed and treated for cancer, and then playing a professional hockey game, it is just an unheard of thing.
Lemieux comes in, shoots and scores! Mario Lemieux!
He's not a normal person. He's up above everybody. He's got more inner strength than anybody.
Lemieux comes in and shoots and he scores! Mario Lemieux!
Like nothing ever happened. Like he never missed the 3 months. He really wanted to play and come back to the world of hockey. His take on life took a whole new meaning.
Incredibly, despite missing 6 weeks of action, Mario won the league scoring title.
I think I was 23 points behind when I came back and beat him by a few points at the end, but that was a good race.
Back pain would limit Mario to 22 games in '94.
He was just sapped of his energy, and you could see that he just didn't have it anymore. And that's when he decided to take the year off.
The owner, Howard Baldwin, he said, just take a year, relax, go to Florida with your family and have some fun. And I did, and came back the year after that and felt pretty good.
Shovels it into Lemieux. Shot, score!
Mario returned for the '96 season, scoring 161 points and earning his third league MVP.
Lemieux, wrister, score! Fifth hat trick of the year.
Mario Lemieux was running out of gas. Cancer and 8 years of debilitating back pain had taken a heavy toll. In the spring of 1997, he decided to hang up his skates. He was only 31 years old. In typical Mario fashion, he delivered a memorable farewell.
I got lucky enough to get another breakaway on my last game at home and was able to make a good move and score.
It was the perfect ending. He had scored on his first shift. Now he's going to score on his last shift.
That was very exciting. You could see the crowd really emotional, and I was emotional as well to have a chance to do it one more time for the great fans in Pittsburgh.
His first shot on goal, and he scored! Lemieux has control of the game. He advances and he scores! Hey! Shoots! Here's 500, he scores!
After the game, I went on the ice and went around a couple times.
Lemieux, 66, will hang forever above the Civic Arena or wherever Penguin hockey is played from now on.
But without Mario in the lineup, ticket sales were sagging. The Pens were on the verge of bankruptcy. Mario's financial advisors hatched a surprising solution.
They say, why don't you buy the team? I mean, it's in bankruptcy and they owe you a lot of money, and I think it'd be great that you would come back as an owner.
He wanted to keep the team here in Pittsburgh, where he had spent his whole career, and also he was owed a great deal of money, and this was an opportunity to not only recover it, but help it grow.
So in September of 1999, Mario became the first player in the modern era to own a professional sports team. Mario traded his golf shoes for wingtips, and thoughts of donning skates again crept into his mind.
Well, from where our bench is and where I stand on the bench, his box is kitty corner from our bench. And, I would see him standing there, and all you would see is just like the silhouette of him. You wouldn't be able to see his face or anything, you just see his silhouette of him. And I always wondered what he was thinking up there. What he was thinking when he was watching those guys play on the ice.
There were a lot of nights where, I was looking at the team and really feeling that maybe I could play this game again.
I had sat in the box with him for a couple of games, and I one time said to him, Mario, do you think you could still play out there? And he gave me that look like, who are you kidding?
There were good players on the ice. Alexei Kovalev was out there, and Jaromir Jagr and Robert Lang. There was a lot of talent. Marty Straka. And he saw those guys, and he thought, hey, I could play with these guys. I can have some fun with these guys. We could be a pretty good team if I come back.
I still had the passion to come back, and play the game and try to be one of the best again.
That day when he said he was going to come back and play, that was the day we fell off our stools.
That was a tough secret to keep, let me tell you. I have a sheepdog named Arthur. That's the only person I could tell, because that's something you want to go stand on top of Mount Washington and you just want to scream to all the people in Pittsburgh that he's coming back. It was quite a thrill. I remember one day I was sitting in my office with Austin, and I have this big portrait of Mario in my office. And Austin looked up at it and he said, Sevy, that's my dad. And I said, yeah. And then he looked at me and goes, was my dad good? And that broke my heart, because here's this little guy whose dad is so famous, yet he had never seen him play yet.
When the announcement came out, and it had been rumored that day, it was an incredible response. Ticket sales were crazy, and we sold out the rest of the year.
On December 27th, 2000, After more than 3 years away, Mario Lemieux returned to the ice.
Never lose that feeling.
Hard. He came back and, was he ever ready? Now he's showing that he has that ability to still be away from the game and come back and be the best player. It's an amazing thing.
Mario had 35 goals and 41 assists in just 43 games and led the Penguins to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Your dressing room changes, the atmosphere around here, when he comes back on the ice, the crowd goes crazy.
The Penguins struggled over the next few seasons, but once again, there was a reward.
Pittsburgh Penguins select Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby's ripping it up.
In July of 2005, Mario, now 40, welcomed his newest employee, teen phenom Sidney Crosby. And just maybe, Mario will be ready to take off his skates and go back upstairs to the owner's box, this time for good.
I think somewhere down deep inside him, he wants to win that third cup.
My goal is to win one more Stanley Cup, and I think we have a good chance.
And just maybe, Mario will be ready to take off his skates and go back upstairs to the owner's box, this time for good.
I think somewhere down deep inside him, he wants to win that third cup.
My goal is to win one more Stanley Cup, and I think we have a good chance.
The Penguins have won the Stanley Cup, and Lord Stanley scratched their names on your fabled cup. The Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions 2009.
45 years of Pittsburgh tradition contained in these frozen waters. And now we take that energy into our new home. His commitment to the Penguins and to Pittsburgh as a player and owner are unsurpassed. It is time to get this thing up and running and see this statue. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just to be here and around all the energy and all the fans and this statue, it's just amazing. It just totally depicts the way that he played hockey. You know, that's how he was. He'd just go between two defenders and score.
I can't really even begin to think how they see the game. I just know that they see it at a much slower pace than the rest of us.
It's almost like he's at times not human.
Mario Lemieux, a penalty shot. 6-4 Pittsburgh. Knocked away by Caulfield. 5 seconds. That's going to be it. Caulfield has Lemieux. He got it to him. 2 seconds. He shoots.